What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge, presented by Georgia Alabama Sports Live. This is the scoreboard show that airs every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on Georgia Alabama Sports Live's Facebook page and YouTube channel. Did not have a show yesterday. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot going on. I mean, we had Election Day. There was no sporting events on Tuesday, except we did have a flag football game that I did cover along with Thrift Behringer on Georgia Alabama Sports Live between Pacelli and Jordan. The Pacelli Lady Vikings ended up getting the win there. I'll talk about the flag football games that happened yesterday at Brookstone. And we also had a very big event that I want to get into. I will be at Kinnett Stadium for a tri-match for flag football later this afternoon. And we also have, I guess you could call it week 13, but we've got the first round of the playoffs in the AHSAA. Still have one more week in the regular season for the GHSA, and we have second round playoffs for the GIAA. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the show. What a night last night on the campus of Northside High School. Because of the inclement weather, the Fields of Faith event that's put on by the Fellowship Christian of Athletes, Jonathan Carastori, who is a friend of the show, is the president of that chapter, and he's been promoting it. It was just a great event. It was in the gymnasium at Northside High. Megan Danielle, who is the runner-up of the 2023 American Idol season, and, you know, the city of Columbus does know a thing or two about American Idol runners-up, but it was just such a great event, and really appreciate everything that Jonathan Carastori does for the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And we also had, because of inclement weather, we weren't sure if these games were going to get played. There was a tri-match on the campus of Brookstone. We were supposed to live stream it, but we went ahead and made the call just based on the inclement weather that we decided not to do the games. But they actually decided to play the games, went ahead and just played them. Pacelli, Brookstone, Columbus were in a tri-match. Pacelli ended up defeating Brookstone 25-0. Columbus ended up defeating Brookstone. And then this game was just wild. It went down to the wire. Pacelli ends up winning against Columbus 19-13 in overtime. Columbus is going to be taking on Hardaway and Northside in a tri-match at Kinnett Stadium today, starting at 5. The first game of the tri-match is going to be Northside and Hardaway. I will be on the call for Georgia Alabama Sports Live, 6:15. We've got the Midtown Showdown Flag Football Edition. Hardaway and Columbus at 6:15, and then the nightcap, 7:30. We've got Northside and Columbus. Should be a fantastic evening of girls flag football. Also, on Georgia Alabama Sports Live, we've got the Harris County Black and Gold Wrestling. It's just a way to kick off the wrestling season. We do plan on live streaming wrestling matches on Georgia Alabama Sports Live as well. We've got high school basketball. It's already started. We've got some big games starting in Montgomery. We've got the Central Lady Red Devils and Red Devils playing Jack down in Montgomery. And also Central is going to be at Shaw this weekend, and we will have those games on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. The Lady Red Devils and the Red Devils are going to be in action against the Raiders. This Friday, we got the Harris County boys basketball team that's going to be faced off against the Columbus boys basketball team. It's a battle of two brand new head coaches. as Coach Byard for Harris County, Coach Terrence Hill for the Columbus Blue Devils. Carver is actually hosting Cambridge. That's the Carver boys. And then the Tip-Off Classic, as the Hardaway Hawks and Lady Hawks are going to be facing Langston Hughes. So that's what's going on for this week, in case you're wondering about some of the events that's happening on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. The River Dragons are back in action tonight. They are taking on the Baton Rouge Zydeco. The River Dragons are undefeated so far in this season. They have got a 3-0-0-1 record. They did have the overtime win, but they got 2 wins over the weekend against the Mississippi Seawolves. Just a great crowd at the Columbus Civic Center, almost 4,000 fans both nights. And the Columbus River Dragons, they got the new uniforms. They're looking pretty good this season. And Alexander Jiminoff had 2 goals in that game on Friday night, and then just outstanding goaltending to ended up picking up the shutouts, 5-0 and 4-0 over the Mississippi Seawolves. They'll be back in action at the Columbus Civic Center. In case you were wondering, November the 16th, taking on the in-state rival, the Athens Rock Lobsters. I'm excited to see just these 2 teams go at it. Athens is the brand new expansion team in the Federal Prospects Hockey League that has just a state-of-the-art, brand new arena that they just built right there in downtown Athens, where the club hockey team from the University of Georgia also plays there. So I've been kind of doing my research on the Athens Rock Lobsters, because I think that that's a team that I'm very intrigued by and possibly could go to some road games this year. I'm going to break down the brackets of the Alabama high school playoffs for the local teams that are in it. I'm not going to do 4A or 1A because we don't have any local teams in those brackets, but I will break down the 7A, 6A, 5A, and 2A brackets. And of course, you can't forget about Chambers Academy. They are in the AHSAA playoffs. And also Lakeside School and Springwood are in the 8-man football for the AHSAA playoffs. And I also get into Auburn basketball. Got a big win over Vermont, 94-43. Rematch of the NCAA first-round championship, where Vermont, the Catamounts, ended up upsetting Auburn. Miles Kelly ends up scoring 21 points. What a big win for the 11th ranked Auburn Tigers. Any Bruce Pearl team, especially with Janai Broom, with one of the top players in college basketball, I think that Auburn is really on a redemption tour. They're trying to avenge that first-round loss to Vermont in the NCAA tournament last year. All right, let's go ahead and dive into Week 13, as we are going to call it here on the show. It's actually playoff time. We'll tell you where we're going to be for Georgia Alabama Sports Live. We're going to be on the campus of Brookstone at Max Strong Stadium. High school game day will be there, as we're going to try to get the president of Brookstone on the show. We're going to try to get Scott Miller, the voice of the Brookstone Cougars, on the show as well. Unfortunately, I will not be able to be a part of high school game day. I'm actually going out of town, but I know that Thrift Behringer is going to be doing an outstanding job just interviewing several people from Brookstone, and we might end up having some extra guests on there as well. But this is the number 6 seed Stratford Academy taking on the number 3 seed Brookstone Cougars. The last time these 2 teams faced each other in the regular season, Brookstone wins it in overtime, a huge comeback win to defeat Stratford Academy. And you could catch this game on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. This game is actually going to be on the NFHS network. It will not be able to be live streamed on Georgia Alabama Sports Live due to the AHSAA regulations when it comes to live streaming, but we'll have some great talent that's going to be working for the NFHS network, and we'll be able to work alongside the NFHS network, and you can catch that on the network if you want to see this game. The 9-0 Glenwood Gators, ranked 7th in the latest Alabama Sports Writers Association poll. I don't know how they're just staying at number 7. I mean, they have just beaten everybody, and everybody convincingly on their schedule. A team like Fife only has 2 losses on the season, and they're ranked higher than Glenwood. That makes no sense. But they are taking on Alabama Christian Academy out of Montgomery, who are 6-4 on the season. And this should be a great game. Glenwood hosting a home playoff game for the first time in the AHSAA. This should be a lot of fun. I can't wait. Sammy Howard Field live at the Swamp as Glenwood just continues to try to make a deep run in the 3A AHSAA state playoffs. Well, while I have the bracket for 3A, Dadeville, who was also in Glenwood's region, they're going to be on the road taking on Montgomery Academy. Hillcrest is taking on Southside. The winner of this game will take on the winner of Hale County and Bayside Academy. Down in the bottom bracket, Thornsby taking on T.R. Miller. Trinity Presbyterian taking on Randolph County. Randolph County was also in Glenwood's region. They are the number 2 seed. They are hosting a playoff game. Beulah is on the road taking on Houston Academy. They will take on the winner of Excel and Thomasville. If you go over to the right side of the bracket, Fife, that team that has 2 losses, they are taking on Ochachi. They will await the winner of Gordo and Rogers. You have Venamont taking on Lauderdale County, Piedmont taking on Collinsville, Winfield taking on Colbert County, Slovenia taking on Weaver, Mars Hill Bible, one of the top teams in 3A, is taking on Midfield, and then finally Locust Fork is taking on Geraldine. That is the 3A bracket in the AHSAA. Can Glenwood win a state championship? I mean, they haven't won a state championship since 1992. I think that this team is very underrated. 9-0, and they have convincingly beat everybody on their schedule. I think that first game of the season, taking on 5A Valley when they were down 20-0, it shows how resilient the Glenwood Gators are, coming back and winning that game 21-20. How about the Russell County Warriors? First time since 1998 that the Russell County Warriors are going to be hosting a playoff game. This is absolutely incredible. And they are taking on Northridge, a team that is out of Tuscaloosa, 7-3 on the season. And Russell County, Bryson Riggins has been continuing to break records when it comes to everything that has been going on this season. And I'm telling you what, I mean, what he has done is absolutely fantastic. And you look at, he was been co-offensive player of the week, actually for the Alabama 6A. He had 20 of 33 passing attempts, 353 yards and 4 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown in the win against Beauregard. And he has just been continuing to break records. And I tell you what, like here's his season stats. He's got 123 QBR. He's got 2,681 passing yards and 36 touchdowns. Wow. What an incredible season for Bryson Riggins. And let's take a look at the 6A bracket, because Russell County taking on Northridge will await the winner of Miguel Tulin and Spain Park. Spain Park is undefeated. I do believe if Russell County is able to beat Northridge, Russell County will be on the road in the second round. Up in the top bracket, Wetumpka is taking on McGordy. Chelsea is taking on Saraland. Saraland is the defending 6A state champions, who is really one of the top teams in the state of Alabama, not just for 6A, but for all classifications. That's where Ryan Williams went to school. Benjamin Russell taking on Spanish Fort. Percy Julian is taking on Hueytown. St. Paul's Episcopal taking on Helena. And Bessemer City is taking on Pike Road. Over on the other side of the bracket, Buckhorn is taking on Oxford. Minor is taking on Hartselle. Pell City taking on Fort Payne. Athens taking on Homewood. Coleman taking on Parker. Mountain Brook out of Birmingham, a suburb outside of Birmingham, taking on Southside Selma. Mortimer Jordan is taking on Muscle Shoals. Gadsden City is taking on Clay Chalkville. All right, let's go over to 7A, the Central Red Devils. They are going to have to be road warriors. I mean, they went 7-2 because they did lose to Auburn and Opelika, but this is a very winnable game. They are taking on James Clemens. James Clemens is 6-4 on the season. If they're able to win this game, they will take on the winner of Vestavia Hills and Mary Montgomery, which will be another road game. There could be a possible another road game in the semifinals because Opelika is hosting Florence. I'll get into that game a little bit later. Hoover is taking on Fairhope. So let's go ahead and go into Opelika is hosting Florence. Florence is 5-5 on the season. Opelika making the playoffs for the first time since 2021. And then we also have the Auburn Tigers, undefeated, 9-0. They're at the top of the bracket. They are taking on the Patriots of Bob Jones out of Madison, Alabama. And if Auburn can win this game, they will take on the winner of Thompson and Defean. If they face Thompson in the quarterfinals, this is a rematch of the 2022 state championship and 2020 state championship. And Thompson, which Trent Seaburn, who's only a freshman, Thompson was the runners-up from last year. Remember, don't ever count out a Thompson Warrior team that won 4 state titles before they lost to Central last year. Other parts of the bracket, Enterprise is on the road taking on Austin. Hewitt-Trussville is taking on Baker. And that is the 7A bracket. Another team that is in the bracket, the 5A, is we have got Beauregard is hosting Eufaula, and they will take on the winner of Vigor and Sipsey Valley. And we also have Central Clay County out of Lineville hosting Greenville. They will take on the winner of Williamson and Northside. Montgomery Catholic is taking on Holtville. And we got Shelby County taking on Citronville. Let's go over to 2A, where 2A, we've got the Lynette Panthers that is taking on Cottonwood. And they will await the winner of Goshen and Washington County. And then we also have Reeltown that's hosting Houston County. And then we also have Lochapoka, which is hosting Artion, which will await the winner of Clark County and Zion Chapel. Highland Home taking on St. Luke's Episcopal. They will await the winner of Providence Christian and Horseshoe Bend. And we don't have any local teams on the other side of the bracket, but that is 2A. Like I mentioned, I didn't get into 1A or 4A because we don't have any local teams around the area that are in the brackets. I mean, when you're breaking down brackets like I'm about to do for Georgia next week, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, a lot of teams to cover. And when we get into playoffs, I want to try to cover as many teams as possible. Some teams are completely out of our area. And you're probably asking, well, why are you covering that? But, it's the playoffs. You kind of want to know the brackets and the matchups and who could possibly play who. And that's why I do it. One more game that I did forget to mention is that the St. Anne Pacelli Vikings, as you watched the coaches show, the Pacelli coaches show yesterday with Thrift Behringer as he interviewed Dwight Jones in wake of this second round matchup between the Pacelli Vikings and Bullock Academy in Statesboro. If Pacelli is able to pull off the upset, there's a possibility we could see Brookstone and Pacelli in the semifinals once again. Wouldn't that be something? All right, so right now in Georgia, they still have one more regular season left. We're going to call it week 13. No teams in this area has been affected. It really, if you want to get technical, Central Talbotton is actually taking on Crawford County out of Roberta. Right now, tonight, this will affect the seedings. There are no brackets that are official. They can't officially come out with brackets until the entire regular season is over for all the classifications. But Pierce County is taking on Vidalia tonight. I think this is going to be a big game for Pierce County because they did lose last week. And this could actually help Carver maybe get the overall number 1 seed, even though Appling County, who has 2 losses, ended up taking over the top spot according to the rankings. And that is from Georgia High School Football Daily. That's a an online magazine that I subscribe to, which has daily updates when it comes to high school football. I kind of hope they have that for basketball too, but I actually rely on Kyle Sandy for all my basketball news. All right, so we got Washington taking on Farrell, Salem taking on Stone Mountain. We've got here's some games that I'm looking at. Carver of Atlanta taking on Hapeville Charter. All these games are out of the area, but they're important to know and to just think about like how it could affect the playoffs when it comes to Georgia. Stewart County is taking on Citizens Christian. If you don't know about Stewart County, they're out of Lumpkin. They play freelance 8-man football. They are not associated with the GIAA or the GHSA, but that is a local school to the Chattahoochee Valley. We want to try to give love to Stewart County, which the current athletic director of Pacelli and the boys basketball coach, Coach Calvin Thomas, is the former athletic director at Stewart County. And the Royal Knights want to try to give them love here on the show. They are taking on Citizens Christian. We got East Lawrence taking on Southwest. Some other games, Wilcox County is taking on Telfair County. Washington Wilkes taking on Lake Oconee. Like I said, trying to wrap up the regular season. Crisp County is taking on Tattnall County, the home of Shannon Sharp, down over there in Greenville. You got Johnson County taking on Twiggs County. Let's see what else we got here, wrapping up week 13. Appalachia, remember, they had a lot of games canceled, not just because of the hurricane, but because of the school shooting. That they are taking on Loganville. Worth County is hosting Brantley County. We've got Savannah taking on Portal. You see, now I'm getting into the Savannah schools. I'll just Appling County. This is a very important game for the possible overall number 1 seed in 2A. They are taking on the Fitzgerald Purple Hurricane that's no longer in 2A. They are down in 1A. And so that's going to be a huge game, especially that's going to have an effect on Carver seedings. And these are unofficial brackets, but the latest bracket I saw was Hardaway taking on Callaway. If that happens, sign me up. Is there a way I can maybe help the NFHS network and maybe work alongside Georgia Alabama Sports Live to live stream that game? I would be very interested, especially that game at Callaway Stadium. I think that would be huge. And also that with the NFHS network, we're not going to be able to live stream any of the playoff games unless we partner with the NFHS network and they take our feed, but it would not be on Georgia Alabama Sports Live's Facebook page and YouTube channel. It would be on another platform. All right. Continuing to go on through this show, like I said, I didn't have a show yesterday. Some of the things that happened, Columbus State Soccer, they have the number 1 overall ranking in NCAA Division II, 16-0-1 after getting a big win over the University of Montevallo, 5-0. They ride with a lot of confidence. They will host University of South Carolina Beaufort on Saturday, November the 9th in the first round of the Peach Belt Conference Tournament, 7 o'clock at the Walden Soccer Complex. And also, if they're able to advance, the semifinals will be Friday, November the 15th at the Walden Soccer Complex. The championship will be on Sunday. The first round of the NCAA tournament, which Columbus State more than likely is going to get a bid because they've been ranked number 1 all season. So I think there's a good chance they will host the southeast portion of the NCAA tournament like they did 2 years ago. November 22nd on a Friday is going to be the first round of the NCAA tournament. Second round, November 24th. Third round, December the 6th. The quarterfinals are December the 8th. And the Final Four, December the 12th. The championship will be December the 14th. Oh, I am excited about Columbus State Soccer. They went to the championship back in 2015, went to the Final Four in 2022. I remember that was a very good historic run. Some other notes just to talk about. We've got the NFL trade deadline that passed. A lot of teams in the NFL are just hoping to boost their roster, including Marshawn Lattimore, that just decided to go over to the Washington Commanders. We've got NBA last night. How about the Atlanta Hawks? They got a big win over the New York Knicks at 121 to 116. Zachary Regisher, the overall number 1 pick, had 33 points. I can't believe I said that I thought he was going to be a bust. Give him some time. And right now in the NBA, the team with the best record is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Big game last night in the NBA, Boston and Golden State. The Golden State Warriors ended up defeating the Boston Celtics. Where did this come from? I couldn't believe that the Golden State Warriors just came out of nowhere, and they are a top team in the West. And the Lakers, after starting 3-0, they lost another road game, and Anthony Davis is going to be out for a while, and they're now 4-4. So the NBA is very young on the season. Like I mentioned, college basketball, Arkansas ends up defeating Lipscomb 76-60 as Coach John Calipari's debut as the Arkansas Razorbacks head coach. Some of the games that we got going on as far Georgia State is taking on Mississippi State this Friday. We also have Auburn is taking on Houston in the Mattress Firm Battleground 2K24 Classic. Baylor is taking on Arkansas. We got Tennessee taking on Louisville. Oh, man, I am just excited about college basketball. By the way, Georgia Tech ends up defeating West Georgia 85-62. Remember, West Georgia is now in Division I for college basketball, although they're not going to be able to compete for a NCAA tournament berth because they're kind of in that transition phase. But that was a big win for the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, who are 1-0 on the season. Javion McCollum with 18 points and Kawasi Reeves Jr. adding 15. I want to see Georgia Tech do good. Georgia Tech will run up their record in the non-conference games, and then they get to ACC play and they fall flat on their face. This is basically what's happened every single year. And I want to see Georgia Tech do well because I miss those days of Bobby Crimmins in the 80s and 90s with point guard with Stephon Marbury, Travis Best, Mark Price, so Kenny Anderson, just great point guards for the University of Georgia Tech. And, of course, that incredible run when they made it to the championship game in 2004 where they did lose to that UConn team that looked invincible. Anyway, getting off on a little bit of a tangent. Right before I go ahead and sign off here on the show, big college football games. Of course, Alabama, LSU, that could determine the latest of the college football rankings. Alabama is ranked 11th. The matchup would have them play Texas. Texas is taking on Florida. Georgia is taking on Ole Miss. Ole Miss still has a chance to make the college football playoff. They are on the outskirts, and I think getting a win over Georgia could really help their cause. Georgia Tech is hosting Miami. Does Georgia Tech get Haynes Keene back? And then we also have some other games that I do want to talk about. Oregon is the overall number 1 seed in the latest college football rankings. They are taking on Maryland. BYU is taking on Utah. Is BYU on upset alert? I'm interested to see about that. And then we also have Penn State, Notre Dame also in the college football playoff. Tennessee, Indiana is also in the college football playoff, which Tennessee is taking on Mississippi State, and Indiana is taking on Michigan. Well, it's been a fun show. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching yet another episode of the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Don't forget that you can like and subscribe to the Facebook channel. I'm also on YouTube. You can follow me on the X, Instagram, or TikTok. Hope everybody has a great rest of your day, and we'll see you.